Rocky Road. Vanilla. Vanilla's always good. I have never tried matcha ice cream.
So good. So good.
I've had matcha ice cream, but matcha in general is so good.
Yes, matcha everything.
I
Matcha
have
chocolate,
not
matcha
I have not tried
coffee.
anything matcha. Cherry chip. I have never heard of that.
I
Mint
think
and chip, Jasmine, you have great taste.
I would argue vanilla bean. Have y'all ever had vanilla bean? Like,
It's sweeter, yeah, it's so good.
I was about to say it's the same thing as vanilla misty. Alrighty. So, we will go ahead and get started with the introduction. And I know this is going to be recorded, so your classmates will be able to take a look if needed. I'm going to share my screen. Same thing as always, if you have any questions or comments, always feel free to stop this, turn on your mic, or if you feel more comfortable writing in the chat box, that's another option. If you don't want to put it in the chat box for everyone to see, you could send it directly to Mr. Gill or Miss Denise. I will be sharing my screen, so I can't see any messages you have. Okay. So, good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Miss Murillo, and I am from the College Access Readiness and Success program. Sorry, I was getting messages in the corner and I got distracted. I am the program coordinator, and I'm so glad that you guys were able to join us. If this is your first time joining us, if you have been with us through all 4 sessions, welcome, and thank you for sticking around with us. Miss Denise, Mr. Gill.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you all for joining us. My name is Mr. Gill. I usually go by Oscar, pronouns are he, his, him. I am the academic pathways coordinator and acting more of a consultant role right now, due to my current tenure as a counselor at a college and career counselor at Linux Academy. Yeah, thank you all for joining us, Ms. Denise.
all right, I told you to go first because my dogs are barking. So, hi everyone. My name is Miss Denise. I am the college literacy advisor. So I'm all about college. So of course, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat box. And if you feel like you want to just message me directly, you can do that in the chat box as well. We'll definitely get to your question as well, just for the sake of the whole group. So feel free.
If you did join the last sessions, the first session was on the UC application. Our second session was on financial aid. The third one was on the CSU application, and this brings us to the final one, which is a common application. If you weren't able to join us for any of these, I'm pretty sure you could reach out to Michael and he could share the presentation with you. But let's go ahead and get started. So we will be covering the following topics today. What is the Common App? We'll be exploring the Common Application, how you create your account on the application, and fee waivers for the Common Application. Okay. So to begin, the Common Application is often referred to the Common App, just an abbreviation for application. It is a nonprofit organization, meaning you are not charged for using the Common Application website. It should be free. If someone is asking you for a credit card, you are probably on the wrong website. So the Common Application is a tool used for students to submit applications. It makes the process faster because all private institutions are all in the same place. Very similar to the UC and the Cal State application, except the Cal State and the UC application is limited to select schools. The Common Application hosts over 900 campuses, so for that reason, we won't go into depth about each school because 900 campuses. I don't think you all would want to stick around for that. So there are 2 main parts to the Common Application. The first part is the common questions, which you have seen throughout the Cal State application and the UC application. Very basic and generic information to get your account going. And then the second part, each college has its own specific questions. Once again, we won't be able to go into depth for each one of these specific questions because 900 campuses, they all have different questions. They might be very similar in the topic, but once again, some of them might ask for one question, two, three. It's a case-by-case basis. The neat thing about the common application is you will only have to fill out the common questions once, and you would only have to worry about the second part, which is the specific questions for each campus. Unlike the CSU and the UC application, you could add multiple campuses on the common application. You are not limited to your 4 Cal States and your 4 UCs. This is all up to you. Some campuses do have a fee for each application you submit. Some don't. Some might have fee waivers, but Ms. Denise will go more into detail about that. And then just a little more information over the 900 campuses that the common application hosts. They are across the United States and across multiple countries. So that is pretty neat. Let's go ahead and move forward. So once again, this is a very nice thing because all you have to do is fill out your personal information. You could get your letters of recommendation on there. The common application helps to connect with your financial aid and gives you access to some scholarship information as well. The common application helps you keep track of all the deadlines. Once again, unlike the CSU and the UC application, all campuses on the common application do not share the same deadline. They all have different deadlines. I know the CSUs and the UCs are all November 31st. That does not apply for this. You would have to go ahead and do your research, but the common application has a very nice organizer for you to keep track of which deadlines you have for which respective campus you're interested in. So the common application also gives you the ability to keep track of your progress on their application and your status. Okay, so now we will be taking a look at exploring the common application. So as I said, the common application is a free website. It should look a little similar like this, and the URL should end in .org, so you know you are on the correct website. So I just wanted you all to get familiar a little bit with the common application so you know exactly how you could explore. There are 900 campuses. That might seem a little overwhelming. Where do I start? Am I going to go through the 900 campuses? If you did, I mean, great for you. You are going to have a lot of knowledge of college campuses, but they have very cool features to limit the campuses to your likings. So if we go ahead and take a look, you could filter by region. For example, you could filter that you want to look at schools in the South, in the West, in Alaska. I don't think I would want to go to Alaska, maybe Hawaii, Canada, Europe, Asia, Australia. So you guys could filter that. Those 900 campuses are going to shrink drastically and help you with your research. You could filter by your campus setting. Do you want to be somewhere rural, urban, suburban? I usually get fun of because I decided to go to school in UC Davis. There are lots of cows there. Miss Denise was very wise and she chose a school by the beach. Mr. Gill was also wise and chose UCLA with lots of things to do in LA. But that's something else you all could keep in mind when you're doing your research on the common application if you're looking into some of the campuses. You could also filter by financial aid. You might want to filter to what schools offer aid for international students, what schools offer merit-based aid, and what schools offer need-based aid. If you are unsure what merit-based aid is or need-based aid, you could once again refer back to our previous presentations and we go a little more into depth on these topics there. So moving forward on the exploring and how you could filter the common application to help with your research, you could filter it to application details for first-year students. You might want to look at only campuses that don't charge application fees. Maybe you want to look at campuses that don't require a personal essay, that don't require letters of recommendation, or are flexible with test options. I know when we were reviewing the CSU and the UC application, we said, don't worry about it, don't sweat it. You will not have to worry about that for this application year for fall 2022. But that might not apply for the common applications and the schools that are included in there. They all have their different sets of rules, but that would all be described a little more once you select the campus on the common application. So you could also filter by minority serving institution. So if you want to go to a school that has a Hispanic serving institution, Native American, historically Black universities, Asian American, Alaskan Native, you could do all of this using the common application. And once again, it looks like this. And on the left-hand side, you have this really neat toolbar that helps you filter all of these likings. So you could filter those 900 campuses to something that you are looking for and that is more suitable to, your likings. This is another one, enrollment size. Maybe you want to be at a campus that's very small and intimate and you get to know everyone around the campus. Or maybe you want to go to a medium campus or a large campus. I personally like going to a large campus. I didn't have to remember a lot of names and I got to meet lots of new people. I wasn't with the same people all the time. So that was pretty neat. Specialized missions. Maybe you want to go to an all-women's school, an all-men's school, religiously affiliated. The common application gives you more options in regards to this and compared to the UCs and the Cal State systems. And last but not least, if you're interested in a public or a private institution. So I know there are lots of filters you could use, but hopefully this helps minimize your research if you're looking into the common applications and the schools that they have to offer. Any questions, comments, or concerns I have missed, Mr. Gill, Ms. Denise? Cool. So gathering your materials for the common application. So these are some very generic items you would need to complete and get started with the common application. Very similar to the CSUs and the UCs, nothing completely different or unknown from what we have already covered. So to start off, we have your high school information, your school code, GPA scale, class ranking report. All of this would be found on your transcripts. Once again, if you still don't know where to get your transcripts, you should become familiar with your counselor. I'm sure you all have great counselors. This is a great opportunity for you to get to know them. Next, your test scores and dates, citizenship information, state of residence. You might be wondering why the state of residence is very important in this case. As I mentioned, many of these schools are in different states or different countries. Therefore, you would be charged something called out-of-state tuition. Out-of-state tuition tends to be higher for students versus students who live in the state where the campus is located. They would be charged something called in-state tuition. So out-of-state tuition is usually doubled from the regular tuition. So it's just something you all should keep in mind when you're doing your research. Mr. Gill, I saw you unmuted yourself.
Yeah. Please note this is just for public schools. Private schools in different states will charge you the same amount whether you're in-state or out-of-state student. So just heads up on that. So if you were to apply to an outside campus, I will look into private schools, as public schools tend to have funding for their residents, not for out-of-state residents. Hence why you get charged a lot more.
Once again, but if you are interested, do not let us hold you back with those statements. You apply, you go and explore. Maybe that campus has something that California doesn't have to offer for you. Go for it. So once again, parent information, very basic information, very similar to the CSUs and the UCs. Names, date of birth, it's just to keep track. So we'll move forward. So the next thing you would need is a list of your academic honors and a list of your activities. Once again, we said all of this information is transferred to each campus you add onto the common application. This would be copied and pasted into each campus. The only thing you would have to do different is any additional writing requirements they have for you. So they would give you 5 slots to list any academic honors you received when you were in high school. So if you received any certificates when you were in high school, this is a great time to pull them out from hiding or wherever they're crumbled in your backpack so you could add them onto your applications. For each recognition that you received, you will be expected to include a date of when you received it, and if it was a regional, or national recognition. And then for your list of activities, the Common Application gives you 10 slots in comparison to the UC application, which offers 20 slots for you to include what you were involved with. So in these 10 activities, you could include job, volunteer work, clubs, sports, or any other hobbies that you might have had. And for each one of these activities that you include, same thing, you would need to know the years you participated, the time, hours, how much time you were spending per week in each one of these activities, and the position you held in any of these activities. So once again, there are only 10 activities for the Common Application. The UC application does have 20, but if you already worked on your UC application, you could copy and paste, select the ones that you are most proud of or think would be suited for the campus you're applying to. Okay.
Right, so before we get into creating an account, another thing that I would put on your radar for materials for the application is letters of recommendation. So if you are thinking of applying to private schools, which I know for probably most, if not all private schools, request that you have a letter of rec. You also need to keep in mind what kind of letter of rec that they're asking for. Sometimes they will ask for a teacher and they will ask for a counselor. Maybe they'll ask for something specific. So just keep that on your radar, but we'll go into the depth with that when I go through creating an account. So moving forward with creating an account, so it's just like the UCs and the CSU presentations, they will be asking you if you are a first-year student, a transfer student, educational professional, parent, etc. Hopefully all of you who are seniors will be applying as a first-year student. So you'll be clicking the first-year student tab or button. And then the same thing, it's going to ask you to create, it's going to ask you for an email. Again, we've said this in the other presentations, make sure it's a professional email and it's not your school email because you will need access to it. Even beyond, maybe even after graduation. You'll need that for like a portal or anything like that. Passwords, we've said it again, make sure you write them down and you don't forget them, just because if you're doing the CSU application, the UC application, and then the Common App application, let's just make sure we have those passwords safe in a safe place. Again, first name, last name is always something that is going to be asked, as well as a phone number. I didn't check to see if it was mandatory, but please put a phone number that you have access to, because I know some of you may not have access or may not have a cell phone number, but maybe a parent or a guardian, maybe just one that you can access. Date of birth, address, of course, and these are just like the basics just to get you started with the Common App.
Mm-hmm. And I know this is something you all would never do, which is say, oh, I'm going to remember that password. I don't need to write it down. Do not trust that saying in your head. Toss it to the side, grab a notebook where you're keeping track of all of these passwords and usernames. It's going to take you 2 minutes. Go ahead and write them down. I know a lot of you have the tendency of writing things on your phone. You might lose a phone, you forget your Apple ID or whatever it is. I know I forget it all the time, but I won't forget where that notebook is with all those great passwords. So it takes 2 minutes. Please do it.
All right, so now when you log in and you create your account, you're going to see these 5 tabs. It's the dashboard, the My College, Common App, college search, and then financial resources. So here is where you'll be doing the college search. You'll use the college search tab to add universities from across the nation, including District of Columbia, as well as outside of the country, Canada, China, Japan, and many European countries. You can look it up by the college name or the city, and it will filter through, and then you can go ahead and do the click the plus sign, and it'll automatically go to your My College tab right there in the photo, in the image that I put there. Again, over 900 universities and colleges, and then from the research that I did, you can apply to max of 20 schools. Questions so far? Everything okay, y'all? Bear with me. So the tab that I was talking about, after you do the college search, you will go to the My College tab, and you will see all the colleges that you added there. If you look on the left, I clicked New York University, I put Stanford, Texas A&M, University of Chicago, University of Pennsylvania, and I also put University of Southern California just to root for my school, fight on y'all. So I just put that on there just because it is a private school and it is on the common application. So you will find that if you click on a school, it's gonna give you this whole list of information. It's the contact info, the phone number of the school, the admissions email. So if you have any questions about the application process, you can definitely find the email there. Of course, the address, if you didn't even know what the address was for the school, if they ask for documentation, they have the address there. They have application deadlines, information on additional deadlines. So maybe there's a scholarship that the school is offering. They will have that here on the drop-down menu. They have application fee information, letter of rec information. They say if they are accepting the Common App essay question, because the Common App has about 7 or 8 Common App applications, and some universities require it, some universities don't. This is where you'll find that information, but you'll also find that if in addition to the Common App essay, they might ask for additional essays. So make sure that you are looking at this informational tab, because they may ask for additional essays. So just keep that on your radar, and you can definitely find that on this My College list. Any questions on that? Just know that this My Colleges has all the information on the colleges and makes it pretty simple.
Yes. So just as a friendly reminder, I know for the UC application, we said you all should be taking your time when you're answering the personal insight question. Same applies here. As we said, the personal insight questions won't be exactly like the ones on the Common App, but you are still required to take your time, have someone review it, maybe someone edit it, have a third pair of eyes. If you don't want 3 people looking at your essays because they're personal, that's fine, as long as you are reaching out to someone who could take a look and edit that for you. And last but not least, for all of these deadlines, because they are not all the same day like the Cal States and the UCs, you all should get your handy dandy agenda or your cell phone or whatever it is that you like to use to keep track of important deadlines, so you don't miss them.
All right, so the next tab that I wanted to highlight here was the writing portion. So again, each university is gonna either have you, or sorry, I highlighted the writing part, but I'm gonna go in depth on the writing part. But before we get there, here is just the profile. So here is where you'll find that you will be putting profile. This is basically basic information, basic personal information, first name, last name, address. Again, it's going to ask for family information. Of course, this is just for demographic purposes, as well as education. This is your education. This is where you'll be putting, we've already explained it with the CSU and the UC applications. These are all the high schools that you've attended. Even if you transferred, you will be inputting that information as well. If you took college courses, you will be putting that information in here as well. And then testing, these are your SAT, ACT, College Board, IB test scores. These are all going to go in the testing. I didn't want to go in depth with them just because we kind of already talked about them. But these are just your the information that we've already been talking about, as well as the activities. So again, Ms. Lupe already mentioned that the activities are shortened from, like, in comparison to the UC 20 activities, the common application, you will have to shorten them to 10 good ones. So just putting that on your radar. And then courses and grades, that's of course, definitely get someone else to look at that when you're inputting them, because we make mistakes sometimes. So human error is a normal thing, but it's always nice to get a second look. So I'm going to go in depth with the writing piece just because it is different for different universities, or on the Common App. So we'll go to that. So the writing essay section, this is where it's really useful to see the My Colleges list and really go in depth to see if universities require additional essays. And then you will be putting it in the writing piece. So if you see right here, some schools require a personal essay, some don't. And that's why I added Texas A&M over here, because it doesn't require an essay, a personal essay. So just putting that on your radar, some schools won't even ask for a personal essay at all. However, the ones on the left, which is NYU, Stanford, University of Chicago, they do require you answering the Common Core essay. So if you look down here, it's kind of cut off. I have the next slide shows the other pieces, but it's one prompt for all universities. So if you see on the left the required the universities that require the essays, it is just one prompt. So you'll be answering one prompt for all the universities that require it, minimum of 250 words. So again, right here, the maximum, it says 650. That is not the goal. That is not your shooting number. However, you will have to meet a minimum of 250 words. So if you meet 251 words, it's okay. And if you feel like you need to reach that 650, but you've answered the question, it's totally completely fine. Word count does not matter, but you do have to reach a minimum of 250. So in the next page, I have the list of prompts for the Common App. So this is again for the Common App. However, universities may have their extra personal essays, which is why we tell you to make sure you're looking at everything about that university. So here are the prompts for the Common Application. You can definitely take a picture, a screenshot. Of course, we're recording this already, but it's always nice to see like what it is that the Common App is looking for. So if you do want to take a minute and just take a picture, go ahead, a screenshot. But yeah, these are a few of the questions. And again, just a little a tip or tips on how to answer these questions. Think of them as interview questions. You don't have to write a beautiful, you don't have to have a hook, you don't have to have a body, you don't have to have a conclusion, and all in all make it beautiful and creative. At the end of the day, these are interview questions. They just want to know what exactly you're answering and how it ties to your academics, et cetera, et cetera. Anything else you all want to add? That's just one of the tips that I've had for UC and Common App applications. Cool. All right, so now the financial aid and scholarships tab, which is really great this is something that I really like about the Common App, because at the end of the day, this is where we will be able to look at the opportunity, or this gives us the opportunity to look at our options about financing our education. So our status can be international students. How the heck are we going to go to Oxford University in the UK, but we're an international student? Like how does that work? This is a good tab to kind of filter through and research and do your research on how to finance your education as an international student. Of course, it breaks down federal aid. So in the US, we have FAFSA, as well as state aid. Every state has their different aid as well. Just like California, we have our Cal Grant for our residents. I know in Texas, they have their different applications as well. So it's definitely nice to see what kind of state aid you can get as a non-resident or an out-of-state or a resident. This is where you'll be able to filter through that, as well as institutional aid. There's definitely a lot of institutional aid, like Mr. Gill said, that private schools, they pretty much try to fund out-of-state and in-state students. So another thing you'll find on this tab is scholarship links. They only have College Board, but I know there's other resources for scholarships. But if you're looking for something safe and something that you know is kind of has already been filtered through and it's secure and it's a good scholarship to apply to and it's not sketchy, here you can find the College Board tab for scholarships. And then something about the Common App that the UC and the CSUs don't do is it helps you compare financial aid offers. So once you get your financial aid packages from each university that you got accepted to, you can basically essentially compare the schools and kind of make a choice for which school you would want to commit to. So now the best part, which is the fee waivers. I know I mentioned the maximum amount of schools you can apply to is like 20, but just remember on the little tab that has the whole list of like deadlines and essays and everything, they also have application fees. So make sure you're looking at that as well. However, we're going to see how fee waivers can help you all out. So fee waivers, the Common App wants to make sure that this is not a barrier, because oftentimes students are only bound to 4 CSUs and 4 UCs because essentially we can't afford any more than that. However, you can find the waiver information in the profile section, and then apply for the waiver is 3 easy steps. You answer yes to the fee waiver statement found in the profile section, and then you select all indicators in the list that apply to you. And I'll show that in a little bit. And then you enter a signature to certify your request. And I have a picture in the next slide, just kind of demonstrating where you can find that. So where you fill out your profile, your family, your education, your courses, your institutions that you've attended, you'll find a Common App waiver tab, and there you will be clicking the yes button, and then it's going to drop down to these check marks. If any of these apply to you, you will go ahead and check mark them, and then at the bottom it's the fee waiver signature. So something to note about this is that your school counselors will be asked to confirm your eligibility for this waiver, which is very important. Again, to keep in contact with your counselor throughout the Common App application, as well as if you want to have your counselor as a letter of rec, definitely still keep in contact. But again, just note that your counselor will have to confirm your eligibility for fee waivers. And there is no limit to the amount of fee waivers. So there's, just like the UCs and the CSUs, you're only limited to 4 UCs and 4 CSUs. The Common App, there is no limit to the amount of fee waivers for the Common App. However, for common applications, you can only add 20. So just keep that in mind, but there's no limit for how many colleges you can apply to. And that's all I have, but do any of you have any questions, or did y'all want to add anything?
Sorry, 2 things. One, all of you should be eligible for a fee waiver in the state of California, just because every single school now participates in free lunch. So the little tab on the I am enrolled or eligible to participate, you're able to click on that and get yourself a free fee waiver for that school. In addition, can you open up the PowerPoint again? Sorry. There's
Yes, sorry.
I believe it was on the USC slide where there was like 3 different deadline dates. I want to go over real quick.
Am I sharing my screen?
No.
Sorry. Silly rabbit.
All right, scroll back a few slides, please. That one. So right here, you can see where it says class of 2026 first year. You have early decision 2, early decision. There's one more called early admit. Early admit will be if you apply like now, or you might even apply in October, you might even apply in September, and you will get notice of your admission in January. Early decision, it's a little weird to hear. That one, you also apply early and you find out about your admissions early, but you're legally bound to go to that school if you get admitted. So yes, you get a heads up. You get basically first in line when it comes to choosing that school. And if they choose you, then you have to legally go there. Regular decision is just basically like attending any other school and applying to any other school. You get your notice around March, maybe even April, then you have to make a decision by May. That was it. Thank you.
Good stuff.
Yeah, so for all of you who are tired of UCLA, you could apply to USC now and do a early decision. Alrighty.
Hold on, let me just.
They have their props ready. I don't have anything. I'm sorry, y'all. But if y'all have any questions, feel free to ask us. But other than that, as I mentioned, this session was going to be fairly short just because the specifics of this common application could go into days.
I would also say that letters of rec, I cannot stress that enough, just because that was a reason why I didn't really proceed with the privates, because letters of rec, I was so behind, and just the UC application, the CSU application, it was just really stressful. And then having to like keep tabs with my letters of rec just like slipped my mind. And I wouldn't want any of you all to miss out on a private school that can pretty much fully fund you. So definitely highlighting letters of rec.
And please ask in advance. Don't wait until the deadline is tomorrow and you're asking for a letter of rec today. Please don't do that. As someone that has already dealt with that like earlier this week, it's stressful. Please don't do that.
Yes, preferably a 3-week notice. If you are asking for a letter recommendation, a 3-week notice, and you could have your resume. So the person who is writing your letter of recommendation knows what you have been involved with. Although you might think they know you very well, I'm sure they have lots and lots of other students. And if they have that to reference, I'm sure your letter of recommendation will be that much better. But other than that, Michael, we are done for tonight.
Awesome. Can you guys hear me?
Sorry.
Yes.
Let me a quick interjection. I just got a question on the chat.
Yeah.
It is for the UC app. Do our teachers have to submit our letters of rec before November 30th? So the UC application does not actually ask you for a letter recommendation. If you're confusing it for the CSU EOP section, they have to submit them by the document deadline, which varies per school. The earliest school for a document deadline, however, is December 15th. That's for Cal State Fresno, or Fresno State.
Yes. So once again, just to reiterate what Mr. Gill said, the letters of recommendation apply to the Cal States, not the UCs. And for the letter of recommendation for the Cal States, to my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Gill, they do not need to submit by November 30th.
No, even if you were to submit your regular Cal State application, the EOP deadline is typically around December 15th. So you still have a while.
Yeah, so you guys could take your teacher a nice chocolate and remind them, oh, during Christmas break, my EOP application. Okay.
Of course.
Alrighty.
Very good
Any other
question, Ashley.
questions? Thank you, Ashley.
So no other questions? Sorry, I can't see the chat right now. No other questions?
No,
No, that is all.
questions.
Got it. Okay, perfect. All right. So I want to say, of course, on behalf of all of us, a huge thank you to 3 of you for leading not just one, but 4 of our workshops. Really do appreciate that for all of our mentees and our mentors as well. Is it okay? I see that I think someone put their email in. There you go. Can they reach out to you guys if they have any questions afterwards?
Of course. Yes.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Well, again, thank you to all of you guys. To everyone that's in the workshop right now. The video should be up within maybe 2 days on Canvas. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to them.
Mm-hmm. Just put on the subject line for the email who you are and from what campus you are reaching out to us, so we know exactly that it's not one of our students. And when we're looking them up on the system and we can't find them, oh, well, they don't go to this campus. Alrighty. I hope you all have a great evening. Have a great snack. I don't know what you all eat at night. Cheerios, a cookie.
Have a good evening, everyone. Peace out.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.